This episode is sponsored by Evolve Bootcamp, my outdoor functional fitness program that delivers a sense of warmth, friendliness, and spirit, along with butt-kicking, hellishly fun-filled workouts that embody a caring attitude, evoking the idea everybody that exercises outside has no boundaries and naturally evolves. Class begins at 6 a.m. Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. Winter, spring, summer, and fall, mention this podcast and come by for a trial class at the Boston Common if you dare to be different. Welcome to the Evolve WMMA podcast featuring the greatest upcoming female fighters on the planet. They are women who have gone against conventional thinking to pursue their dreams. These fighters inspire, empower, and unleash excellence within a new generation of female warriors as they rise and evolve into the best possible versions of themselves through the power of mixed martial arts. Hey, this is Evolve WMMA, and I'm your host, Shelley Devine. I interviewed this week's guest back in February 2019, just before her fight against Deanna Bennett at Invicta 34, where she lost by judge's decision. But her interview really stuck with me. This girl had such lofty goals and an unwavering discipline for being so young. You can go back and check out the interview. It's episode 53, The Importance of Strong Father Figures for Their Daughters. Since then, she fought Bennett again, avenging herself with a nasty submission neck crank win over her. And most recently, faced and defeated really tough opponent Pearl Gonzales in the co-main event at Invicta 39. With that win, she is presumed to be the next challenger for Flyweight champion Vanessa Porto's title. The 22-year-old has long been one of Invicta's top prospects, and it's entirely possible that the UFC could pick her up soon, even before a fight could be scheduled with Porto. I'd like to welcome back to the show Invicta FC Flyweight fighter Miranda "Fear the Maverick." Hey, so welcome, Miranda. It's so great to have you here, and congratulations for your recent win at Invicta, beating Pearl Gonzales. I mean, what a great fight. How you doing?
I'm doing great. Still high off that win, so to speak.
Was it a tough fight for you? How did you feel after the fight, immediately after?
Immediately after, honestly, I felt dominant in the fight. I could tell I had improved a lot. Pearl is a hard fight, but I felt like it was not as hard as I expected it to be. I went in there and kind of implemented my game plan and was able to follow through on everything I meant to, pretty much, as far as takedowns and dominating and controlling the fight.
Yeah, so last time we talked, we were on for about an hour and a half, I think. We talked at length, and I really had a chance to get to know you. And I usually, it was a year ago, just about a year ago. Right. And I'm fascinated because you are yet so young to be where you are. And I went back and I reviewed our interview, and there's so many key things. The last time we talked was just before you had your fight with Deanna Bennett, and you lost that fight. Now you've come back. You beat her. You beat another girl from another promotion, and then now you have I would say you're probably in contention for maybe a title fight, and your goals were to get a title fight and to become champion. So how do you feel like since the last time we spoke and now, what things have occurred to get you to where you are now, would you say?
I think a lot of it has been my confidence. My mentality is finally where I've always wanted it to be. I'm kind of realizing that I'm there. I have the talent, I have the physicality, I have the mental toughness for it. And I just needed to kind of realize that. I've also matured a little bit.
Mm.
And my training has just been awesome. Every fight camp, we get better. Every fight camp, I put things together more fluidly. I have better combos. My striking, I'm more confident with it. So I'm able to go into these fights with my grappling background with more confidence there to strike. And if they take me down, it's not so much of a big deal. I get up and I beat that part too.
Yeah.
But yeah, I had that win against Heather Walker Leahy in
Yeah.
Washington, D.C. after that fight. And then I came back and had the tournament and won 3 fights in a night. And
That
that
was
really
crazy. I saw that. That was awesome. That was really awesome. You were so dominant during that the Phoenix Rising series. Did that
my
help?
life.
What's that?
It changed my life. That tournament did. So
Put you on the map for sure, right?
yeah,
I
brought my
mean,
name up from a nothing to a something, got me money, and just that win alone gave me a lot of confidence. So came back from that, beat Deanna after losing to her, so that was a big deal to me. And then I expected myself to have title contention right then, like to have the next title fight.
yeah.
And they gave me this fight against Pearl, and it was annoying. It really was, that I wasn't already getting the title shot. But now that I've beat Pearl, that's the next step,
Yeah,
is to
do
have
you
the title fight with Vanessa Porto. That's already a guarantee.
Oh, great. I was wondering that was going to be my next question because there was a lot of speculation why you didn't get a title fight after that particular win against,
Right. I think it
Deanna.
was
I mean,
just
that's what
because
the whole point of that was, I thought.
we thought so too, but I think it was just because Pearls was so controversial against Porto because the eye poke and everything. So they
Hmm.
were giving her and she's more popular, I guess, than most of the girls in Invicta. So
Hmm.
gave her kind of another shot at it, and I kind of took that away from her. So now it's my turn. It was deciding who would be fighting for the next title shot, and I beat her. So now I'll be facing Porto next if I don't get a call to somewhere else.
Yeah, so I had read or heard or something that Vanessa had said something to you on the way of going into the cage, or like something like "you're gonna die, baby."
Pearl said something on the
Oh,
way in.
Pearl did. I'm sorry, Pearl did.
No, you're fine. As she was running around the cage, she said, "You're gonna die, baby."
What does that do to you when you're like, you're ready to get in the cage
I
and
was,
rip it up with her?
I don't know. This one was a different fight for me, a different type of fight. Usually, I'm very stoic, very unemotional going into fights, and it almost helped that I was this time. But it wasn't bad. I was just super happy the whole time. I just had so much confidence. I was laughing in the back, joking around with everybody, but I was
Awesome.
also like just ready to go. I was so dialed in. And during the weigh-ins, it was like a goofy outfit. I thought was just ridiculous. And then as she came into the cage, after calling me fake on like a pre-fight interview, she said how I called her out a long time ago and then
Mm.
been nice to her so that I was a fake person. I was like, oh, I didn't realize being nice to somebody was being fake, but okay, I didn't mean to call you out to be like, I hate you now, but
Yeah, yeah.
have a fight. But there was
Yeah.
that. And then as she came into the cage saying that to me, I was just like literally smiling and laughing about it. I thought it was
Yeah.
funny because she thought it was going to intimidate me. And to me, it just showed weakness on her part.
Yeah. 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 I mean, everybody has a different way, I would think, going into the cage and how they're going to present themselves and what gets them up, like keeps them motivated. And some of it seems like it's not really going to work against somebody who has a strong faith in themselves, who, I mean, this was one of the things about your interview for being you're 22 right now. And you're still going to school, right, for your PhD, or yeah,
Full time.
and you're a professional fighter on a high level platform. Your goal is probably to get into the UFC at some point.
Yep.
And then are you still teaching too, other young?
I do teach at the university, and I also now have a full-time job as a coach.
So that's just like, to other people, insane. How is this girl juggling all this? Like, how is she doing it? And I mean, one of the things that struck me about our last interview was, you had said, you have a real strong faith in God and that you pray. and your family, you have that support too. But it even is beyond that. You have an inner strength that you have cultivated your entire life. Obviously,
And a lot of people will call me out and almost say that that part is fake, but the people who know me and are close to me see the schedule I have in life and see how devoted I am to that. Like, I have a planner that I write down everything in. And so, like, my daily schedule during fight camp was 5 o'clock, get up, go to work. Work from like 5 to 1 most days. Then 1 to 4 o'clock was working on schoolwork, taking a nap if absolutely necessary,
Sure.
but usually working on schoolwork. Tuesdays I had class for school until 7:30. And this semester I've been blessed enough to just have an online class that I'm teaching. So that's been a little bit easier for me. I fit it in between those 1 to 3, 1 to 4 hours. And then all my meetings for school happen between those times too. I've been able to work around. And then I train most days other than that day that I work until 7:30. I train from like 4:30 to 10:30. And then the day that I have 7:30, I train from 7:30 to 10:30. And I get in my cardio in the mornings, and I get in my pad session in the mornings, like during work, because I'm a coach. So it gives me time to do that too, since I'm at a gym. And then I, go right back to sleep. And do it all again the next day. And it makes it rough because I would say most days I was getting 5 hours of sleep maximum. And then I would catch up on the 2 days I was off a week and just do the best I could to keep up with schoolwork and focus. And it does help that I have that faith and have that support system, because more than anything, it's like the mental that breaks when that happens. Like I get so down on myself or feel like I'm overtraining and just not getting enough rest. And I have to just focus and like prioritize things and be like, is it worth it to skip this to sleep more? Or whatever else.
Yeah, because you do have to discern that for sure. Rest is equally as important as your fight training or anything else, because if you're not well rested and you don't take care of yourself on that other side, yes, exactly. And nobody wants to see that happen. But with all that said, this was something that came up one time on my social media page on Facebook, and talking about fighters that, juggle several things. That it was a fan that suggested that, they just, if they're not doing it full time, being a fighter, there's just no chance for them to be a world champion. Like if they're being a mom, and then they're trying to train, and then they're working another part-time job to try to train, which most women, that are fighters are actually, doing some of that. They have to support themselves. So they have a job, maybe a full-time job, and then they're training at the gym. And this, there was some talk about this being, unless you're training full-time as a fighter, there's no way you could be a champ. I wondered, I'm like, what does Miranda Maverick have to say to that?
I think it's the truth. I'll be honest. But it's not necessarily the world champ. Like, I feel like I work hard enough to overcome that. So I can be, but I think to reach your potential in it, you do need to be doing it full time. Most people who are world champions, who are in the top 10, they don't have all that stuff going on. They're focused just on fighting. It's a sport that you can't, excuse my language, you can't half-ass it. You have to go in there and you have to put everything into it, because you're risking your life every time you go into the cage. It's not a sport where you miss the hoop and your team gets one less point. It's not, I ran a race a little bit slower, now I lost. It's like, oh, I lost, I got my nose broke, I got my arm broke, I'm damaged for the next 6 months, I look like this going into Walmart, like that kind of thing. You cannot go into fighting with very little focus on it. So for me, like, as soon as I get out of school, I will have to make a decision of whether I want to pursue my career that my academics provided me, or whether I want to pursue fighting. And as far as I'm getting with fighting, I think that's helping me make my decision. But I will have to, as soon as I can, I'll get to where I don't have to work. And as soon as I can, I'll get to where it's at least just school and fighting. And soon enough, just one of those. Because it is hard, and it does weigh on me. And the higher I try to get, the harder it is, because it's harder to progress. There is a lot of truth to those statements. Although you can get good, I don't think you'll ever reach your full potential.
Well, you have a lot of years ahead of you. What fascinates me is that your ability to kind of execute decisions, like life directional decisions about how you want to, and proceed in your life and move forward in your life, but with a discerning sense that's typically wise. And most you're a kid. Like, to me, you're a kid. Your parents must be like, yeah, she's just a freaking kid. She's 22. And she's making these huge choices that kids your age aren't even, they're not even there. Like making them, they're out partying, they're out, there's no self-discipline. You have, I mean, how did you develop your values? I mean, I know it's got to come from your family somewhat, but for you to actually, because there's some kids, parents are really good with, helping the kids along and suggesting, but then there's kids that just resist this stuff so much.
I don't know. I just was never that type of kid. I try to soak in everything. I think I was good at just listening. I was disciplined fairly strictly as a child, and maybe that's what initially got me to start listening. But like my dad, I just started discovering he was right at pretty much everything. There was no sense in arguing. Like, every time he said something, it was right. It came true. And it gained my respect over time, beyond just being like, oh no, I might get my butt kicked. I was like, no, he's right. I should listen. And I started doing that very early on with things about my future. He would be like, you need to start now in middle school, basically, to seal your academic career for later on. And like, he was never in school. My whole family had never went to college or anything like that. So I kind of had to find out things on my own, and I just had a desire. I was always very competitive, and I always just wanted to be the best at everything I did. And I don't mean the best by like the best in the world. I mean like the best that I could be.
Sure.
So I went into school that way. And like, for instance, like even all A's, it wasn't about I'm the smartest kid in school. It was, am I really going to get like average? Am I average? Do I feel average? Do I want to participate averagely? Do I want to try to be average? Because that's how I always saw it, where people were like just trying to gauge themselves based on other people. That's the existence of grades. That's why they're there, to gauge people based on others. I was like, I'm not gauging myself on others. I'm gauging myself on me. And I think I went into everything with that attitude at life. In the same way academically, the same way financially, in my athletics, work, everything. I try to be the best that I can be. And that's really paid off for me. I pray about it, and I try to meet God halfway with that. I don't believe in praying for something and then sitting around waiting for it to happen. It's the whole joke about, you asked God for a cake, and then he gave you the eggs, the milk, the flour, and you just sat there and whined about not having a cake.
Yeah.
And so I'm like, he gave me these talents, and he gave me a gym to go to and all these opportunities. I'm going to use them to the best of my ability. And if I fail, I fail, but at least I can say I tried as hard as I could.
It sounds like you really think through and make intellectual decisions based on, several different things. Has that always been the case for you?
It has always been the case, and that kind of goes back to how I was raised too. Like, this may sound brutal, but it was always, nobody gives a crap about your feelings.
Yeah, exactly.
Feelings mean nothing except to those who perceive them a certain way. They can be perceived as anything. Me crying was never going to get me anything when I was a kid. That did not help me. I was never babied, and my parents weren't the type that were like, well, they're not going to love me when they get older because I'm being mean. No, I'm not. It's their job to be my friend, and now I am good friends because I did get raised right, in my opinion. And so feelings just were never a thing. It was think through things, pros, cons, what's good, what's bad, what are you not seeing because you're too emotionally attached. Remove yourself from the picture and look from the outside. And it's the same way with fighting. That's almost exactly how I look at it. Remove myself from looking directly at the opponent and see where I want to be in the big picture and try to be that good. Don't try to be as good as the opponent I'm going against today. Try to be as good as the world champion that I'm looking at into the future.
Yeah. That's great. It's great to have that foresight to think that way. I applaud you because I'm like, wow, this kid, like she's got it together, man. She's getting it together and she's doing her thing, and you're not limiting yourself in any way, shape, or form. And even like the financial aspect, typically fighters are struggling with finances. I mean, I'm not saying that you probably didn't in the beginning, maintaining, doing, doing your fight camps and all that. And you look for sponsors, all that sort of stuff, plus going to school. You live away from home now. You live on a college campus, I'm assuming, right?
I live off of campus. I live
Okay.
I live in my own place, but not like bought it out, just rent.
Yeah.
But the thing with that is, like, I still struggle, don't get me wrong, and
Yeah.
it's still a big struggle. We don't get paid that much as pro fighters, but that's why or
Yeah.
I work on the side. I'm hoping for this big dream to come true that does pay off, but
Yeah.
right now I do have to work on the side, and I get paid as a TA for school, but I still have sponsors and people that help me do a lot of stuff. But I make sure that all that money goes to good use. I don't just blow it. I'm making investment for my future so that I don't have to worry about that anymore. Like getting my own vehicle, getting hopefully land in the future, building myself a foundation to where I can go after my other dreams in life beyond these.
Yeah, being financially responsible for yourself long term. Do you save your money? Do you have like a savings account, or are you just like kind of winging it? You didn't say that you're winging it, but like you're finding that it's all gone to all these other things because these are the things that I want to do, and that makes sense to me. But are you saving in the other interim?
Just recently, I was able to start saving, and I've gotten quite a bit. I've made like different rules for myself to where I can't touch certain income sources. They all go towards savings. And hopefully those will start adding up to something a little bit bigger that I'll get to announce in the soon future, hopefully. But yeah, I'm starting savings now, and I'm 22, in grad school right now, and so to even have savings and no student debt is quite an accomplishment. And I actually just got done getting out of debt, and now, boom, like everything's going towards land near my family's place, hopefully.
That's wonderful that you want to live close to your family. So many people want to get away from their families. Not you. That's really, it's nice to see that a kid your age, and I'm sorry I keep calling you a kid, but I'm old enough to be your mother, so I can. I can.
The whole thing, though, I don't like being limited by age. I don't mind being called a kid or anything like that, but people are like, well, you're 22, you shouldn't be doing that. I'm like, what? Excuse me. That's not how that works. And I want to just mention, like, with being around my family, they all care about me so much and have helped me so much. Like, there's no reason. Like, I love my family. They've done everything. My dad made it to this last fight, and nobody really knows it, but he had the flu, like, really badly for a couple days, and he wasn't going to make it. And he just felt so bad about not, because he's always been there, that he showed up anyway and could barely stay standing and still came to my fight. And the adrenaline from me winning gave him enough energy to come in there and hug me and everything else. But just that kind of thing, the genuine care. And that my siblings, my mom, my stepmom, everybody brings with them when they come to support me it's huge. And we are very close as a family, and we have future plans as a family, to have the place together, to be around each other, be able to have dinner with each other when we want to, or, play games with each other and whatever else. And I want to be part of that future. I don't want to live thousands of miles away from them my entire life.
Yeah, it's challenging. Most of my daughter lives away in Chicago, but when she comes home, I'm like, yay, and my son lives in another state. I mean, it's only an hour away, but it's still, it's tough when you love your family and you want to be close and you want to see them regularly. I think it's always a good thing, but I've been in the Boston area for some time, and while there, I've seen like people that live, like couple streets away, and they're like, they don't want to have any interaction. I'm like, how can that be? I'm like, I don't get that. Like, it's funny how that is. So moving forward with your career now, I know you were kind of feeling from, a little bit like you're not getting some of the recognition. Maybe you're kind of, maybe you didn't have that title fight yet. Now it is more likely to happen. But, there could be some talk about, I know you want to get into the UFC and stuff. Do you think that could happen quicker than maybe a title fight with, Vanessa Porto?
Possibly. I'm looking at all options, but whatever I take, I want it to be me promoted into it. I don't want it to be like a short notice, oh, I guess we'll take you kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
I want to be promoted into it. I think I deserve the shot to be in the UFC. I'm young. I'm coming forward aggressively as I can.
Sure.
I've beat 2 UFC veterans.
Mm-hmm.
I just don't see what's taken so long already, and I trust that there's reasons for that, like whether that be God and maybe I wasn't ready yet mentally, or maybe it be that I just need more experience in a little bit lower division and get my way up there. But I'm not sure what'll be next, honestly. I'm very willing to stay with Invicta. Invicta's been great to me. Shannon's amazing. They set up awesome fights for me and allowed me all these opportunities. So I would gladly take that title shot. I do wish it would have came one fight sooner, but that's okay. I'd gladly take the title shot, and I'd also gladly look at other options.
Yeah. So you won the bonus for the evening in the last fight too. Your last one against Pearl, right?
I got fight of the night bonus. Yes, ma'am.
That's awesome. Were you psyched? Were you surprised?
I wasn't surprised. I kind of well, I was hoping for it. I wouldn't say that I thought I would get it, but I was like, I had watched a lot of the other fights, and I was like, there was another one that was pretty good, but I thought mine would pull it off, and mine and Erin Blanchfield versus Victoria Leonardo both got it, and that's exactly what I assumed would happen. But yeah, I was excited, of course. It's always nice to see more recognition and more money in the pocket.
Sure. Was that the first time you got a bonus?
No, that's the 3rd time I've gotten fight of the night bonus, I think.
Nice.
Maybe just I can't remember for sure.
Yeah, that's awesome. That's great. That's awesome. I'm glad, I for Invicta, like still being in there, running these shows, Shannon Knapp running these shows for you guys, and allowing like this to happen, like being there and promoting and getting all these different divisions going
with them too. So I'm excited. It looks like Invicta is kind of moving into the UFC apex of things, and I'm absolutely thrilled to see what comes for their future.
Yeah, I don't know anything about what I've heard, like little, whispers of something cooking, but nothing, like yet in the, concrete.
Kind of same here.
Yeah, concrete and stuff. But I liked the Phoenix Rising series and love to see that tournament style happen again, although you're beyond that now, I think.
Yeah, the 135-pound title is on the line with the next tournament, so I'm excited to watch that. They've already kind of announced it. So
will you fight at 135?
I would have been willing, but there's no sense right now. I'm focused on the 125-pound title. But actually, I was joking around with my coaches during warm-ups for this fight. And I was like, if they had an open spot, I'd take it, So I could always put my name in there if I wanted, but I'm pretty sure they've already got everything sealed for that. But yeah, I would be willing.
Cool. So I'm gonna ask maybe just one more question. What's the hardest time you've ever been punched? A funny one.
in a fight or
in a fight?
Total?
Well, it could be total. I don't care. Like, it could be anything. It could be in a fight.
Well, I definitely get hit harder in training than I do in fights. Like, I hardly even remember getting hit in fights. I don't know. I really haven't ever been hit in a fight where I've been like, oh my goodness.
Really? Wow.
Um, I don't know. I don't take much damage in fights. Victoria Leonardo hit me a couple good times in the last tournament.
Mhm.
She's probably been the hardest I've ever been hit, but just because I stayed standing with her and took more blows from her than I've ever taken from anybody, maybe.
Mhm.
Um, Deanna Bennett definitely doesn't hit softly. Like, she hit good too.
Yeah.
Um, I'd say that was the most painful one, was when Deanna brought down an elbow. She hit me in the head with an elbow, and I was like,
Yeah.
ow.
Yeah.
Those aren't fun, you know? That was the first time I'd ever really been elbowed in the face. I was like, ow.
Yeah.
Um, but honestly, like, compared to my training partners, I think that's part of the reason why I don't take much damage in fights and why I just don't even flinch when punches come at me. I'm so used to training with men, and these girls that are 125ers, I'm just like, really? This is it?
Well, I
So,
remember you talking about lifting up freaking poles with your dad, like fence
yeah,
posts or something, 70 to 90 pounds, and then,
right.
doing all that stuff. So I'm like, oh, well,
Yeah, I mean, I feel like you can't really tell I had a fight. I feel like I stay
yeah,
pretty durable throughout them.
yeah. Yeah, you look great now. You don't look like you suffered any damage at all, unless, on your body someplace, something sore or whatever, but you look really good. Look
Thanks.
great. So I don't know if you want to give any shout outs. I want to thank you, of course, for coming on to the show again. It was really great chatting with you again, and congratulations. It's really great to see you grow into the fighter that you've become. I had no doubt when I first interviewed you, you'd be going along this path pretty vicious, furiously, like moving forward. Um, like to see what comes next for you, and hopefully follow up with you again in the near future, and see where you are, what's the next step for you. It's wonderful to see you grow. I think it's great. And I'm happy for you, very happy for you.
Thank you so much. I
You're
would like to shout
welcome.
out my gym, the House of Muay Thai, and within that, Norfolk BJJ, or Simazur BJJ, known as both now. They really helped me get ready for all these fight camps. They're the reason I've improved so much lately. And also just shout out to all my sponsors for this fight. They're on my banner and stuff, but Victory Beef is one that's stuck by me no matter what, and Women of Combat. And then there's also been a few others that have recently joined the team that there's going to be great partnerships with, like Benton Marketing and Yotun, that has gis and other gear. So I'm just really excited to see where all of those places take me, and hopefully they'll stick with me and we'll have partnerships through it all. As far as like my nutrition and stuff, Supreme Performance has been a big one for me, um, and then supplement superstores as well. But we will figure those out more and more as I go. I'm glad that they kind of got on the bandwagon early. I've been telling everybody I'm getting ready to shoot to the top, so you better get on while you can.
Awesome. Well, what can they do to get on? What do the people need to do to get on to, being a sponsor for you?
Just message me, send me a direct message.
Mhm.
Prefer either through my Facebook page,
Mhm.
Miranda Fear the Maverick, through my personal page even, or Instagram, which is at Fear the Maverick _HOMT for the House of Muay Thai. You guys can just basically look up my name, Miranda Maverick. You'll find me on all the social media, and just shoot me a message. I'm always looking for sponsors, and there's always gear usually available too. I'm getting ready to make some new shirts. So
I heard you draw too. Are you an illustrator or something?
I actually do pencil sketches, realistic pencil sketches. So there's like an old Facebook on there, but I'll probably be releasing one I just drew recently pretty soon. So
Very cool. Well, I want to thank you again for coming on the show and giving us a little more of you out in the public eye and everything, talking about yourself. It's all great, and learning what, how Miranda's being Miranda, and being, I would fear the Maverick if she was coming at me doing a takedown or coming at me to punch or whatever. I'd be like, holy crap, this girl's going to kill it. Can't wait to see you fight again. I'm sure it'll be soon. It'll probably be this year. I doubt they're
sure.
going to keep, I think, probably in the summer maybe. And
Yeah, I think so. I'll have at least a couple more fights this year, it looks like.
yeah, so that's awesome. Can't wait to see that. I want to thank you again for coming on the show. I'm going to say goodbye. Hang on
Okay,
for a
thank you.
second though. After I'm
Yeah.
going to shut this off, but hang on. So
Okay. All
okay,
right.
take
Thank
care.
you.
Bye bye. Well, I like to thank Miranda Maverick for coming on to the show. She's, for a 22-year-old kid, man, she's got it down. Can't wait to see her fight again. If you'd like to learn a little bit more about her, you can once again check out episode 53, The Importance of a Strong Father for Daughters. It's a great episode. It really gets more into depth of what Miranda is all about, and her strong mental self-discipline, and just all these great values that this kid has at such a young age. I mean, if you're a parent out there listening to this, you know, she might give you some insight on how to raise your kids. I don't know. I'm like, wow, she's just really very, very great athlete, and seems like a really great person, aside from being an awesome fighter. So if you like what you heard today and are eager to hear more, never miss an episode from Evolve WMMA or moi by, remembering to subscribe and download on iTunes, or you can find us on Podomatic. You can find us on Spotify and Shout Engine at Evolve Women's MMA. Or if you prefer to watch, you can find a new episode on YouTube at Women's MMA. So if you really enjoy this episode, please, leave a review, because it helps people find the show. And on that review, mention Miranda Maverick and how she might have inspired you or motivated you. You can leave your review, or you can leave a review on my blog at evolvewmma.com. So go ahead and leave a comment. Please do it. All right. It just takes a second, or give me a thumbs up. Let me know. Come on. Hello. And lastly, if nothing else, you can simply follow us on facebook.com/I love WMMA. This is Shelley Devine. Until next time, thanks for listening.